This meeting's so good because I feel so much more prepared on the financial piece going into,
Good.
Yeah.
Good, I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, no.
This meeting's so good.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
All right, we good?
Yep.
We're
We're
live.
live.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Let's call this meeting, to order. I'm gonna have to leave a little bit early for a funeral, but I wanted to go ahead and get it started. We're not sure how long it'll last, but, we only have financials on this. I'll be able to turn it over to Joy and her team, who are completely capable of,
Joy speak.
Going over any questions you might have. We don't have any old business. New business, we'll jump to our capital purchase report.
I'm gonna turn that over to Crystal.
Crystal, favorite spreadsheet in the history of the city of Bryant.
Okay, when you're good, you're good.
Hey, take credit.
There was nothing out of the ordinary that was done last month. Everything was pre-approved. It was just vehicles that were approved that had come in. The one thing I did want to point out to you guys under wastewater, I put a note out there, sales tax and shipping. There was an emergency purchase for the treatment plant. They did the PO for $54,000, but the invoice actually came in at $63,000. The price of the equipment was correct, but the PO did not include sales tax or shipping. So that was the difference between the PO approval and what actually got paid.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Thanks.
Very good.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Crystal. Any questions?
I'll take a little time to look it over.
Is that Cambridge drainage project, is it finished now?
It is finished. We just submitted last week for reimbursement from the state. I should get the deposit here in the next week or two for that. The
Yay.
$300,000 grant that went towards Cambridge.
They're that quick?
On something.
On some things.
Yeah.
On this particular grant, they're pretty quick on.
Good question. All right, let's move on to,
For the regular report, when I looked at last month's report and then looked at this month's report, most of the big items stayed the same. We're still waiting on the Arkansas Natural Resource Commission money to come in, which I'm hoping any day, fingers crossed.
Well, why did it take so long?
I do not know.
Government.
Yeah, I mean, they pick and choose
Like
what
we
they,
just talked about.
they have some great departments that turn stuff over fast, but if you remember, they held our money for Highway 5 for like 5 years. So I don't know, because we really need this and we really need it by the end of this month, for several reasons, but, so they've said this month, so, and I know, Tim and Mariah are talking to them, I mean, almost literally every day. So I just hope it comes in, and then we're still waiting on money from the county, right, Crystal? Nothing happened in the last one.
I received, a check yesterday for fourth quarter of last year.
Okay, all right, sweet.
So we got last year. I'm still waiting on first quarter of this year.
Yes, okay, so, and we
Are
got,
they usually that far behind?
no,
No.
this is very unusual for them, and so we're not sure what's going on. Anyway, there is that, so that's, at least there was a little bit of progress, and we've asked, I mean, that's also kind of unusual that they went ahead and paid that one and then didn't pay the other one.
Figure they'd put it together. I mean, you're quarter three in a couple weeks, so.
Mhm.
Yep. So, so there's those two items that have, you know, not completely stayed the same, but more or less. And then, streets improved a little bit. They went back up about 4 days, so the measures were taken, are working, and we're just gonna continue to monitor that really closely. 911, we're still waiting on that. You might have any,
That 90,000?
yes.
So, yeah, I was in a meeting today, that, when we still had our center, and y'all have to excuse me, I'm playing catch up, right, learning as I go on some of these things that were going on before I was mayor. There was a period of time in the transition where they started incurring costs to build up for the merger, okay? They were hiring people to prepare, so they had some costs there. There is a letter of agreement that I was, first time I saw it was today at the 911 meeting, that it's signed by Rhonda Sanders, Mayor Farmer, Judge Brumley, where January 1st is the cutoff. So after that date, anything that comes in is the county's, okay? Now, the good news is that $90,000 is going to be applied to all the expenses for this year, okay? So at the end of the year, whatever everybody owes, we don't know yet, will be divided up. But so that 90, we get credit for some of that 90. Does that make sense? That 90 is applied to everybody's, whatever, you know, it's applied to what we all owe. But we're not going to get that entire 90 applied to what we owe. Does that make sense? That was what we were asking, that the 90 be applied to what the city of Bryant owes for 911. That's not going to happen, but it does close the gap for everybody, and so we do get some benefit from that 90, and also it was covering some expenses they incurred before we closed ours before January 1st. So what I've asked them to do is when we get to that point that we know what we owe and we know our portion, our percent, I think our percentage, you know, obviously is 1/3, but there's other monies that come in. So basically I've asked for them to show to the penny how much of that 90 we actually benefited the city of Bryant. So we'll know that, we'll be able to document that. Does that make sense?
So the cutoff is January 1, 2025?
No, it was January 1, 2024. Yes, ma'am.
That's what I
And
thought.
so between that time and March 5th, we still had our center, and so that money came for the running of that center, but there was a previous agreement that I didn't know of until today that's the cutoff, and so, you know, that was all agreed that money would stay with the county. Does that make sense?
Just FYI, on page 21 of 67 on the detail report, we had 70,000 budgeted in this year. So if we aren't going to get that 70, which it sounds like we're not, it'll just be a reduction in expenses. It won't be actually them cutting us a check and depositing. I will be bringing back a budget adjustment. So just keep that in mind because, you know, that will be something. So, so I had that one, and then another couple of things on the regular report. Very excited that we hit our forecast for this month on sales tax on page 4, and we came in above the month of this time last year too. So that's a really good thing. And then if you move on over to page 7, I did go ahead and do those 2 transfers that I'd mentioned last month that I was waiting on. I've transferred the infrastructure fee money out and into 500 and 510 to cover bond-related expenses. And I also moved painting in the, when was it? I think it was 555. Wastewater for the master plan. But let me just double check real quick. Yes, 555 is zeroed out, and so I moved those. I think that's pretty much all that I kind of noted to myself. Did anybody have anything that they wanted to ask questions about in this month's report?
Be nice to get a digital or something to look at, a digital copy loaded onto the packet.
Oh, was it not on?
It's on there.
It's on there.
Mhm.
I
It is-
downloaded the packet just for,
It's, right under her.
oh, you know what? I didn't hit the plus, I hit the,
Oh.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
my brain's on vacation.
We've all been there.
So it's there. I did have, if nobody has any questions on the regular report, I did have 4 things that are just things I wanted to talk to you guys about while we're in this meeting. I did want to let you know that I just got back from the GFOA National Conference, and that the accounting auditing profession is still suffering like several other professions in that they're not able to get a lot of people in, so we should be extremely thankful for my staff. But we are having some issues with our audit also because of this, and it wasn't included in the packet because literally it's day to day. I am hoping that we get it done and get them a copy. They found a prior period adjustment just yesterday, so we sent them stuff. We started sending them stuff in January, actually before that. So I'm a little bit frustrated, and I continue to be frustrated with them, and I think they know that.
Do they care?
No, and I don't know that they can do anything about it because I think they're chronically short-staffed like everybody else. So I'm not sure, what the solution to that is, but, I'm hopeful that we get it on this June 25th council meeting, at least a workable draft. If we don't get it to GFOA by the 30th, I really do not think they will grant us an extension this year for application for the award because they have been pretty lenient and granted us a lot of extensions for the last 2 years. And definitely, I feel like some of it was on us, but a lot of it was on the auditors. And they actually changed partners for us, and it doesn't seem to have corrected that issue. So it's in tech review right now. The prior period adjustment is based off of an adjustment that they had us book last year. So I'm a little frustrated with that too. It's $634,000, and
That's
related
real money.
and related to Bryant Parkway. All it was basically a timing issue. So we had an invoice that we booked to, let me see if I can get this the right way. We booked it either we booked it to 2023, and it should have been backdated to 2022. So all that is moving that. But in the world of accounting, a prior period adjustment is a big deal, and you have to run it all the way through and note it. And so on a 137-page report, we're going to end up changing 50 or 60 pages right here at the last minute, which is, I have a real big issue with that, and that's happened in the past with them because when you do those things last minute, you make mistakes, and that is super frustrating. So I did just want to share that with you guys. The conference was really great. I got a lot of good stuff out of it. Specifically an idea that at some point I want to bring back to you guys called a pension rate stabilization program. And I've got some information on it here, but I mean, we're not to that point yet, but I did want to mention it if anybody wants to look those up, pension rate stabilization program. Let's see, what else? It was just a really good conference with a lot of really good continuing education hours. And, I talked to you about the audit. If we can get it on June 25th, I mean, at any time, if you guys want to see a draft of it, reach out to me and let me know. Y'all can see a draft anytime.
Is this the 2023 audit?
Yes, and, for the most part, everything looks good in the report, We look better than we really are because of the ARPA money and the Metro Plan grants, but in reality, we're about at a break even if you take those two out, which is actually where we really want to be because, we're not in the business of making money. So, I think it's a good report. 2023 was a good year. So if I can get it to you guys and get it on the 25th, I will push like crazy to get it on there. I know the deadline is Thursday at 4 p.m. So,
With no working tomorrow.
yeah, so it's, I don't know whether we're going to make it. And then the third thing I wanted to mention is, as you guys know, because Treats talked to you about it before, we're working on a budget neutral solution to getting that purchasing position filled, hopefully internally, and by kind of redistributing the workload in my department. And, we are in the throes of that. And if we can get that, but HR just underwent, they're having a similar issue, with the vendor that we are with the auditors. They, JSEP just redid their whole program. And so we had all of that in the old program, and it was supposed to transfer over, and Charlotte emailed me just about 30 minutes before this meeting and said, when she sent it to me yesterday, it was blank. And she said, well, I still see it. She got out and got back in, now hers is blank too. So if we have to recreate it from scratch, we have it printed out, but it'll take a little time. But if we can get it done by 4 p.m. tomorrow, it will be also on the agenda to you guys. So reach out if y'all got any questions, but I know you're kind of up to speed on what that involves. Then the last thing that I'd made note of is Tricia had some raccoons get into the ceiling over at Animal Control and do a lot of damage. And they've had this issue before, but this time Gordon was like, we really need to fix this in a major way, just because we also thought we were going to be getting out of that building anytime soon. And Gordon has a couple of quotes already, and he's pursuing a third quote. He is thinking about possibly trying a vendor he's never used before. And the quotes there's a very big range, from anywhere from $15,000 to $7,000. So he's looking at those, and in all likelihood, even if it's on the lower side with the $7,000, it won't necessitate a budget adjustment to that category right now because we're only midway through the year, but it probably will at the end because Tricia's budget's pretty tight and we didn't plan for this. So I did want to let y'all know, unless something happens before 4 o'clock tomorrow or Thursday, I do not plan on bringing budget adjustments. That's the only one I knew about right now, and I'm checking, making sure nobody else needs anything. If they don't need it, then I'll just wait. And
Why don't we reach out to property insurance? They might cover that.
oh, good idea. Yeah, even better. Yes, excellent. So,
I have a question. Were those raccoons she was holding in the building?
no,
Or they got into the question?
no, they,
Breaking into that one.
I believe they broke.
Leave a cat loose at there.
Yeah.
Sorry, deductible is
I'm saying cats are good.
Get in there, all that barking and, you know, all that noise coming
She's
from
had this issue
Probably
before.
a
What was
liability
it
issue.
before? I think they family
Back at it.
possums or something. And they actually fell through the ceiling onto some people. Like, this has been years and years ago. But, well, you know, they keep all the pet food there. So it's the same thing. I don't know if y'all have this issue, but in your garages or whatever like that, all the animals if you keep pet food or food somewhere, they're going to get there. So anyway, it's been an issue. So, I think that's all I had. Tree, can you think of anything else?
No, the only other thing, the rate study, decision on the rate study vendor, big deal. It'll be on your agenda next week. If you get a chance, go back and watch the Water Sewer Advisory Committee meeting. I think that'd be helpful. The other thing is we're going to continue to do our best to help all our residents understand Act 605, that this is all dictated to us by state law. I think it's real important that we're just following the law when it comes to this rate study, and then setting our rates based on what the law tells us to how to set that. You know, the third party that tells the city of Bryant this is where your rates need to be, to make sure we take care of our infrastructure, and the out of the hands of the mayor and councils, because in some cities those rates were kept low for political reasons, and then we've got infrastructure in the state that's in trouble. That's a simple explanation. We're gonna continue to put out information. You guys will help us with that education process. It's going to be obviously very helpful, because the residents of Bryant have concerns about their water and sewer rates, and so we want to make sure we're communicating.
You have to hear what's gonna happen.
Yes.
Well, those
And
numbers are just gonna keep going up. The cost involved in those things just continues to go up and up and up, so it's not gonna level out.
How did you feel with the decision that was made?
Yeah, I was impressed with both of the presentations.
Mhm.
They chose Will Dan, and the other, help me out here.
Mm, I can't either, but,
Jigsaw, something like that.
Well,
no.
Will Dan, I think they've got, obviously history with us. They did our last rate study, so they've already got a lot of information. You know, they're getting help from a group that's helping us with our water sewer, master plan. So they've got a lot of great inside information, so that's helpful. I think the other group, I was real impressed with their focus on communication,
Mhm.
which I think is gonna be huge in this. I did tell, the folks from Wildan before they left that as mayor, that's one of my biggest concerns. And so if they're chosen by council, I'm wanting to see some beefed up plans for that, because they didn't really touch on that. I don't think we can go wrong, but in my opinion, I think.
It's a shame we can't combine both, because they both had good.
And, you know, I'm always gonna lean on going with a committee's recommendation, because they've done the legwork, and I don't wanna set a precedent that we don't trust our committees.
Agreed.
So, that's where I'd lean, trust the committee, but encourage them, if that's the decision y'all make, to beef up some of their communication tools and plans, obviously with our help, because it's a priority for us. We'll make it a priority, so.
And on communication, those Whiteboard Wednesdays, you know, they're great. Has everybody here been able to see those? They are really good. There's 2 of them on specific items on your water bill. So they're on the website, on the top right corner, and, they're just like 2 or 3 minutes apiece.
Right. And our goal is to have everything in the water bill, there's gonna be a video for each one. So, and ultimately, we'll have a QR code on the water bill. Anybody has a question, like, what is this fee? They'll be able to see a video specifically about that fee. And we're sending out emails.
Mhm.
Residents that we have their email, we're sending out these emails directly to them, because we don't want, you know, it's not, a lot of times they're not gonna come to the website and watch a video. So we're trying to, so anybody, it'd be helpful if you ask around. Are you getting these emails from the city? And if they're not, please let us know.
And those open rates have doubled since we've started these. We're actually like 0.13% higher than the national email open rate for municipalities. So we're getting somewhere.
We are.
Yeah, the statistics are good.
Mhm.
Yeah, you'll see that in the mayor's memo this week. But yeah, any help you want to give us, any questions you have, any way that we can do a better job of communicating during this process, especially with the rate study, we appreciate all the feedback you can give us. Anything else? All right, thanks, everybody.
NRC money. We had the NRC money.
I know.
Well,
If you know anybody